Right, good afternoon. You're back to a Blind Man's podcast, and I am Blind Man. And today's sponsors are Car-Ching, where they are the top northeast buying company for cars. You can get luxury motors to old bangers. And also, I've got a second sponsor today, and it is the founder of the business. And what is it? It is
Icon Entertainment.
Yes, because you are a multi-award-winning wedding DJ.
I am indeed.
So yes, I am joined today by Mr. Ian Conway, the Managing Director of Coast Radio, and the Mr. Multi-Award-winning wedding DJ. So I'll start from the beginning and we'll get into all of that, carry on. So first things first, Ian, where were you born? Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
All right. Grew up in South Shields, born in South Shields, grew up in South Shields, stayed there best part of my life, to be quite honest. Childhood, I grew up with two brothers, a sister. Had quite an interesting childhood, I guess. We all did a little bit around the house, did our household chores. My mum and dad worked full time. So we were kind of left to our own devices quite a lot, but we all had to do our chores. So
had to do your bit.
We had to do a bit. So one would tidy up. One would make the fire because we had a portrait fire. One would cook the tea. And,
no, let's have it right. You and your brothers and your sisters, you would have had the odd scrap here and there about who did what and when.
Yeah, on a kind of a regular basis. But I mean, we're kind of, we never got really kind of serious. We're always
never fisticuffs.
We're kind of all good friends. I did get fisticuffs once because I remember watching Muhammad Ali. I think it was Muhammad Ali versus Smoking Joe Frazier.
What a match!
Yeah, we were cracking. And I was right into Ali back in the early days.
I still am, and he's not even with us.
And remember having my dressing gown on when the match was on. With
the hood on and all.
With the hood on, with my boxing gloves. And I think when the kind of the bout came to a break, what me and my brother were having a bit of fisticuffs.
Did you chin him or did he get you?
I whopped him. He was my older brother. I give him a good hiding.
So I was thinking he would have chinned you and being older.
No.
So was it ever Mum, he's done this and he's done that, or was it just?
There was a little bit like that. I remember my mum and dad, as I said, they worked, during the day, and obviously the school holidays came and they didn't get that much of the way of holidays. So we used to kind of have our mates round and we used to have a bit of fun sometimes. So we had a house in a place called Blagden Avenue in South Shields. I remember one day we're kind of like climbing up the drain pipe from the toilet, the big thick drain pipe out the back there, the waste pipe, through the toilet window, run down the stairs and then back up and round, and we're going round.
So it was kind of like an obstacle course of your mum and dad's house.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. But there was one day I remember we got a little bit boisterous and we had a glass panel in the toilet door. So if you're kind of passing, you could see my dad sitting on the toilet with his newspaper.
Trousers around his ankles.
Come on, Dad, you've been in there half an hour.
You know what dads are like though when they're having a number two.
Yes, absolutely.
And then he opens the door and he says, I'd advise no one goes in there for at least half an hour.
Aye. We broke the glass in the toilet window.
Ouch.
Being a bit boisterous, and we got my sister, who was much younger than us, to take the blame because we knew that she wouldn't get wrong.
That's horrible.
But we paid her for it. I think we clubbed together and got about a shilling together because it was old money back in those days.
So we've explained your childhood. We'll fast forward a little bit. So teens in your era. What was teen years like when you were younger?
Well, back in the 70s was. We used to wear
disco.
It was the disco era, clothes and fashion. We used to have Oxford bags.
Was that like the man bag?
No, they were just baggy pants. And Levy Stay Press were still around.
Them shoes that are like a foot tall.
Used to wear brogues, Dr. Martens.
Hey.
Star jumpers.
The Dr. Martens, they've went through time, haven't they?
Aye.
Wow.
They've stayed around. We used to have a competition with me mate. We used to kind of polish with Dr. Martens to see if we get them as shiny as you possibly could.
So what kind of teen were you, Ian? Were you a punk, a mod, a rocker, a normal person?
No, I was kind of like a normal person. Well, I call myself a kind of normal person. Double denim was popular then.
Yes, the jeans and the jacket.
Jeans and a jacket. He used to have a level.
Mind you, I've got to admit, I am partial still to a denim jacket. You know?
Take a denim jacket.
I've got to love one.
I think they're coming back. You know.
Or the black leather.
But there wasn't that many brands of jeans around. You either had Wranglers
or
the
Levi's,
or back in the day in South Shields, the nerve centre of the Geordie jean empire.
Yes, Geordie jeans.
Geordie jeans.
I always remember when you were a kid and they didn't fit, your mum would say, just tuck them up at the end and we'll sew them.
I mean, incredibly very popular jeans back in the day, and I mean, I don't know how the company came to its. They did that run though, didn't they? They had a good.
Big up. I wish something like that would come back. I mean, it was an iconic thing for up here.
Icon.
Yes, icon. You
like
see what I did there,
like
Mr.
that.
Icon.
I like that.
So obviously you went through your teen years.
I had long hair.
Yes, you
I know
did.
It's unbelievable now, but I had.
You did. I've seen it.
I had quite long.
It was like shoulder length, wasn't it?
Long blonde locks.
Were you one of them ones that tend to get it braided and tie it up, or was it always down like Shaggy off Scooby-Doo?
It was always like kind of shaggy, so people used to kind of refer to it as like, I'd say I used to look like Rod Stewart, which I didn't know if I did or not.
And coming from South Shields, we are sailing.
We are sailing. The other one was Derek Longmuir, who was the drummer at the Bay City Rollers.
I was going to say
the blonde one, and I think the other one was Rick Parfitt, I think, of Status Quo. But I didn't think I looked like any of those.
I like Status Quo,
to be quite honest.
So obviously, you didn't start off your adulthood as a DJ. You've had many of other occupations before that.
Yeah.
So what were you, and what made you think, right, it's time to spin the ones and twos?
Well, to be honest, I did a lot of people back then. I did a lot of like nightclubbing late end of the 70s, and
so that was like a side project thing.
I just went to nightclubs. It was just what you did. You just went and you danced and you listened to the music. And
back in the days when the nightclubs actually had lights on.
Oh, I mean, exactly. I mean, the music was like incredible. The beat, it was like soul, it was funk, it was disco. It was like
big era for partying, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you had stuff like Chic. I know you had Grandmaster Flash. Still
a little bit early for me. I was more
the Sugar Hill Gang. Just incredible kind of music. Just phenomenal. I got us really interested in music. We used to get a DJ to do tapes, because we used to have cassette tapes back then. Just to give the DJ a cassette tape, you would put it into his equipment, his tape player at the back, and he'd give you a recording at the end of the night.
But was he asking for pennies for it though?
Well, no, he didn't ask. Absolutely free, and I've still got lots of cassettes with the music on.
From the original time.
From the original time, aye. From back in the 70s, used to play them in the car, and the music you had in the car, used to have good sound systems in the car.
I'm sure there's some way in this day and age you'd be able to transfer them from that to compact disc or onto your computer.
Yeah,
There'd be some way.
I mean, the quality's probably not as good in some of the tapes.
Now you hear that.
I mean, some of the tapes used to get caught in your tape player, and you start to get
get out quick!
Get your pen.
Start rewinding it with your pen.
Get your pen and like rewind it.
You're like shit, please, no, don't break.
But you listen to the music in the car and listen to the patter of the DJs, and I kind of got really interested in music. I mean, meantime, I took on a proper job, if you like, with a council. So
yes.
I was working for like South Tyneside Council as like an admin person in the council.
But you climbed your way up in the council, didn't you?
Oh, I mean, I did. I mean, I always believe I worked hard. I mean, I studied. I went to college. I got the qualifications I needed.
So that was your kind of thing, the way you were brought up. You always had to be independent, work hard, earn your dollar, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the ethos, I think, of people of kind of my age was like loyalty to the company. So being loyal and working hard, and if you worked hard, you'd get your reward. You'd kind of work your way up the up the business. It's kind of, it wasn't something that you believed that was yours as a right, that you would just automatically get pay rises. Exactly. If they didn't give you it, I'd go somewhere else. I don't care about you.
You mean in this day and age where they think they can be manager in a week?
Well, mercenary. I mean, I look back over my career, and I've worked for 3 different employers in my professional career, And I moved at kind of key moments, but I stayed loyal to those employers for quite some time.
Yes.
And worked my way up within those employers. Whereas now I think a lot of people, if they don't get what they want when they want it within their time scale,
they get a bit impatient.
They're impatient and they want to progress and they want to move on elsewhere. As I say, I've had several jobs, but I've only worked for 3 employers. I can look at CVs of somebody much younger, and by 25 they've probably worked for more employers than I worked in my 40-year career.
Exactly, and it's kind of like that in the music industry now as well. People think they can become famous overnight. So what possessed you to move from South Shields to where you are now?
Well, I mean, I was again, it was partly to do with my career. I got a job with Blythe Valley Council.
Right, that makes sense.
So I was kind of travelling every day.
Back and forth, and it got a bit monotonous.
Back and forth through the Tyne Tunnel. Well, one of the problems was only the single lane Tyne Tunnel at the time.
Traffic jam galore.
It was just hours and hours spent sitting in traffic queues. So eventually I kind of moved across north, moved into Cramlett and really to be closer to me job.
Let's have it right as well. You were just getting sick of paying for the toll.
Exactly. The Tyne Tunnel tolls.
It's getting ridiculous. Have you seen how much it is now?
I do. Don't get me started on the Tyne Tunnel line, because
I had to go through there a couple of months back. It's £1.80.
Well, I've got a real dispute on at the moment with the Tyne Tunnel.
Have they been robbing you?
Well, no. I came to use the Tyne Tunnel, used the same booth I use every time, and they changed it, and they'd actually taped over the money machine where I could put my money in. So I'm sitting there with me £1.80 ready to pay. There's a car behind us, so I can't reverse out, and there's no way I can put the money.
And
the only thing I can do is press the green button, which says pay later. So I pressed the green button, got the ticket, chucked it in me well in the car, and a couple of days later I actually forgotten about it, and when I looked for the ticket, it wasn't there anymore.
They've nabbed you for it.
So I went on the tunnel website, said a thing. I couldn't pay it because I didn't have the ticket number. So I said, "How do I get how can I pay me fine? How can I pay me £1.80 because I haven't got a ticket number?" Took ages to reply to us, and in the meantime, they send us a fine for £31.80 for a £1.80 ticket,
joking.
which I couldn't pay because
which was their fault in the first place.
Which was their fault in the first place.
Tyne Tunnel, you're naughty.
Yes.
So obviously you've moved over here. You've done your career on that. I'm now interested in the part of your life as the disc jockey. So
as a DJ.
What was your first ever record you bought as a DJ?
As a DJ, that's a tricky one. I mean, the first record I ever remember buying was, which is a really odd one, was Eye Level by the Simon Park Orchestra. I don't know why. I just like that.
Was it just there?
Well, it was on a TV series called Van der Valk on the telly, and I really liked that,
So it was probably out of nostalgia or your favourite in that television.
It was nostalgia, and then I had this kind of point where I was right into David Bowie. So
I bought a lot of people were.
I bought a bunch of Bowie albums.
What was Man Who Sold the World. Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, The Man Who Sold the World, Ziggy Stardust, Hunky Dory. Aladdin Sane.
Now I'm assuming
Diamond Dogs.
I'm assuming this was on a LP as well. The big, massive one.
It was proper vinyl.
Now that would have been your first set of decks as well, was it?
Well, yeah. I mean, my first set of decks. I think I came to DJing quite late. It was about 1981 when I decided that I was going to try my hand at being a DJ. So I bought a set of decks. I think it was from something like the Grattan's catalogue.
What were they, like Newmarks or Technics or something?
No, it wasn't anything posh like that. It was a Sound Out Cheetah. And it basically had 2 turntables for playing vinyl with a mixer up the middle with 2 100-watt speakers. And it cost us about £850, which...
Now that's a lot, even back then.
Back in the day,
It's still a lot now, but back then...
It was a lot of money, which is why I took it. Which is why I took it on kind of payment.
That must have been an investment.
Payment terms, eh?
Right.
Was. So then I started to kind of learn how to DJ, how do I do this? Like, move from one record to the next. and do some practice. So I had my mic and I was doing all my, hey, come on, it's the next song coming on. You know,
coming across a bit Tony Blackburnish.
Well, a bit Tony kind of Blackburn, a bit cheesy, a bit listening to the DJs I'd heard. You know?
I was actually going to ask you that as well. I was going to say, did it come naturally to you, or did you have to get the knack for it? Like, was it really pissing you off and like, I don't want to do this no more? Or
no, I quite enjoyed what I was doing. I quite enjoyed moving from one song to the next. I mean, whether was I kind of beat matching? Was I mixing in the days?
Because there's a certain trick to it, isn't there, where you've got to get it bang on time.
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky. You like when you look at the modern music and the modern DJs, you've got the software which kind of analyzes the music, telling you how fast it goes. You've got got your pitch fader on the side, which
practically
kind of,
DJs for you now.
Yeah, you've got the beat grid set out. It's comparatively easy these days to DJ compared to what it was like
back then.
DJing.
So what do you make of the DJs that give it all this all the scratching and mixing?
Well, I do enjoy DJs who can really use the equipment. They can scratch. They can mix really competently. I love all of that. But I think sometimes when I'm at a club, if I was out dancing and somebody was going,
you wouldn't want to hear none of that.
I'd be going, oh man, pack it in.
I've heard DJs go, no, you can't do that. You'll break it, man, and pack that in. It's not proper DJing, and So I was just wanting to know your take on that. So when did? Obviously, you're DJing in the 80s. Yeah,
I DJed right the way through the 80s. I started doing kind of mobile discos to kind of learn me craft. I did quite a lot of kind of charity discos for people with kind of Down syndrome, learning difficulties. They were great.
They would have been loving that as well.
Well, it was fantastic. I mean, I didn't charge or anything for doing it, but it was absolutely amazing to do this, because as soon as the first person came in and they heard the music, they were on the dance floor.
Brilliant.
So in terms of like building your confidence,
well, that's really what you want as a DJ, isn't it? You want a full flow.
Yeah. Then I did from that I was doing school discos, and I mean the school discos were fantastic.
Oh, them I am the music man.
Well, it was a bit of that, but I mean back in the day it was a lot of like madness, bad manners, that kind of music.
All the ska heads and that.
Yeah.
So what was your take on the DJ evolution from the 70s and 80s to the absolute in the 90s?
Yeah, I mean I DJed throughout the 80s, and then I kind of moved into the kind of the 90s music, and
which was heavy compared to then.
Yeah, it was different. I mean, anything seemed to go in the 80s. It was just such a conglomeration of music. So if you're looking back to try and find some of the best eras of music, I mean, I look back now and think the 80s, because it was just all sorts. You had kind of charity records, you had fun records, you had, like what followed from like the disco soul era. You had kind of pop music. You had the 80s rock music, which is still popular today.
Still big.
You had like pop, Stockache and Waterman, throughout the back end of the 80s.
DJ Quicksilver.
DJ Quicksilver.
And can I just say as well, quickly, before Ian carries on, after this video, I am going to be Googling the word conglomeration.
Conglomeration.
You see? He's full of words.
Conglomeration.
So, when did, obviously, your DJ, when did you meet your wife and have your children? Is this in between this period, or was it before?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been. I met my first wife at a nightclub I work at, because I progressed quite quickly from being a mobile DJ to being a
proper DJ,
being a club DJ, which is what I'd always wanted.
Which is what I call a proper DJ. No offence to the DJs underneath. But.
Yeah, and I kind of worked throughout the 80s. I worked for like 8 years, I think it was, in Rupert's nightclub. So I was a permanent there, working
House DJ, brilliant.
you know, three nights a week. You know. We used to do Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, 2 DJs on a night. One DJ would take you up till 12 o'clock, and another DJ would take you from 12 till 2, because the clubs shut at 2 o'clock then. The bars shut like 10:30.
Wow.
Drink time.
Wow.
Yeah, you know.
So what were they doing until 2 a.m.? We don't need to know. so I'm assuming that's when you met your ex-wife,
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
and then obviously you finished with her and you met your current wife
That's right.
and had your children with her.
Yeah, so I've got a son to my first wife, Phil.
Right. Oh yes, that's the one that does all the tours and stuff.
Yeah, I mean Phil. You know, I think I try to discourage him. But getting involved you wanted to get into kind of music production and
You were like, don't do
it. You know,
Phil, just don't.
You got to get yourself a proper job. So.
That old chestnut, which your father probably said to you as well at one point.
But you know, fair dues to him. He's done well for himself. He's quite a well respected.
I tell you, he's met some names, hasn't he?
Sound engineer, and he works for a company called Buffalo Power now, and they provide the generators for all of the big festivals and stadium gigs.
So chances are, when I've been rattling my lyrics out to some speakers at a festival, he was probably involved somewhere
along the lines.
There you go, small world.
Could well have been, but he's been involved. He's, you know, fantastic life he's got, or had, because of the current situation. Not doing anybody any good. So
we're not doing no music anymore.
He's been furloughed for quite some time, although he was involved with the.
Is that furloughed or furloughed?
Furloughed. But with the he was involved with the Unity.
You know, it's a damn shame.
Unity Arena at the Gosforth Park, which was recently on.
Now I've met your all of your family apart from your son Phil. I don't think I've met him, but I've met your wife and your daughters and lovely people. You've got a nice family there. You have.
Yeah.
One day maybe I'll meet Phil, but we'll see. So you've just mentioned the COVID there.
Yeah.
That's one of the subjects I tend to talk about at the minute because we all are.
Yeah.
COVID for you, it's knacking your job.
Absolute nightmare. I mean, for all DJs out there,
musicians, DJs, a lot.
You know, the rules are just super restrictive. I mean, I've done one gig since March. I was out.
Do you see what I mean?
Working a wedding the night before
the lockdown.
The Thursday before the lockdown, I was at Le Petit Chateau in Otterburn doing a wedding. And I could kind of sense at the time, you know, there was a strange kind of feel about the wedding because it was, you know, the hand sanitizers, the wipes and all that kind of thing.
Oh, yes.
Was starting to kind of surface at that point.
The masks weren't in then, yes.
No, the masks weren't in, but it was starting to kind of feel like something was going to happen. And I don't think anybody saw it coming. But, you know...
I mean, if you take a look outside in most towns and cities now, I mean, even outside here, even the bloody pigeons look depressed.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's dire. I mean, there's a lot of guys, you know, who are solely reliant upon the income from DJing.
Exactly.
And they're basically, not that they don't want to work, not that they're not capable of doing it in a safe way. But I mean, some of the restrictions that are out there at the moment are ridiculous, and it's looking very much like it's going to be the DJs that are going to be the last people to get back to work and anything
completely, because if you think about it, you the whole point in your job is to create crowds. Yeah. We're not allowed to have crowds, so how the hell can you do your job?
Yeah. I mean, the restrictions at the moment, it was previously you were allowed to have 30 guests at a wedding.
Right.
But you had to include your suppliers in the numbers. Now they've reduced it down to just 15.
See?
15 guests, and to a lot of people that doesn't make any sense. You can't play the music loud, it's got to be beneath 85 decibels. So that's at the source. So
and then all this ridiculous rule of you can't stand up, sing, dance, or shout in a pub.
You can't sing, you can't
you can't have
dance.
Fun. You can't have fun.
You're allowed, the concession they've allowed is that you can have a first dance. You know, for the happy couple, but you've got to make sure that the guests don't join in. You've got to make sure the guests.
And how exciting would that be? I can feel a bad dad joke coming on. This has left all in tears, and that's a double joke because at like weddings you have tears as well.
Absolutely.
So when did you actually slowly start deciding? Right, I'm going to do this for weddings because you are a wedding DJ.
I mean, I took early retirement from work, and I thought, what am I going to do now? Do I want to do another job doing similar to what I've done the rest of my life? I don't want to do something
fun
that I enjoy. And I mean, I've been back at Coast Radio since 2010. I'd kind of built up my knowledge of music again. I built up me, I'd fallen back in love with the music again, and I thought I'll just do a bit of DJing, just earn a bit of pin money, and I started to do that. And I remember the kind of turning point for me was one day I was at Annick Pavilion, Annick Garden, and I was doing a wedding there, and I'd been booked like all day, and I'm sitting there behind me decks, and I'm kind of looking out over the fountains.
Lovely.
At Annick Garden, and it was a lovely summer's day, and everybody was dressed up, everybody was in a good happy mood, and I was there to kind of help those people have the best day possible.
And was that the pinnacle of it? Is that what made you think?
Well, I just thought, wow, isn't this nice?
Doing something good for people and giving them that memory.
Everybody wants to enjoy themselves, and I'm the conduit to kind of help them do that. And I just thought, I'm gonna do this. And I was pretty good as a DJ, but I'm pretty good as a MC as well. I'm able to kind of stand up, not your kind of MC.
I was just about to say that for the younger listeners. When he says he's a good MC, he doesn't mean like stomping MC. He means like master of the ceremony.
Yes,
MC.
master.
Just for our younger viewers who are thinking, "Oh, get in, he's an MC."
No, I can't do that. I wouldn't want to do that.
Neither would I, and I'm 30. I give up. So obviously, you're the man that's known for creating memories. But which memory gave you the wow, this is for example, where was the greatest memory, the place, the surrounding, the vibe for your wedding DJing? Because you've done so many places. I've
done so many weddings in so many fantastic venues across the northeast. I'm proud to say I think I've worked in the very best venues.
Some of the la-di-da ones as well.
But often these are, ordinary people like me and you, who are spending
hard-earned money to get married.
Hard-earned money to have the best day of their life. And, my job is to make that a reality. That's what I'm there to do. And I bend over backwards, to make and enable them to have the best possible day. I'll tailor everything to what they want.
What they want for their budget. And
people say, wedding DJ is cheesy. No, we're not cheesy.
Let's just get that out there.
Wedding DJs will play what the couple and their guests want to hear.
Yes, because you are technically a request DJ. People come running up with a drink. Oh, how can you play?
Yeah, I'll play the request. I'll meet with a couple before their wedding. I'll talk to them about what kind of music they like,
exactly.
What kind of vibe they want to create. Some of them love cheese, and I'll play cheese if they want it.
But when you're in a wedding scenario, 9 times out of 10, unless you're a complete Raji Chava, you want cheese. That's what that day is for. It's like Love by the Coast on a Sunday, which we play on purposely cheesy, sloppy love because it's a love show tailored to people in love.
People want to have music which makes them feel happy and which they can just let themselves go.
So in levels of la-di-da from 1 to 10, 1 being Mardi Gras, 10 being, oh, I say, Dot Cotton.
Yeah.
How would you say on the scale of you being la-di-da at a venue?
I'm not really. I'm kind of probably around about in terms of I'm professional. But I do things kind of my way. I don't kind of resort to, ladies and gentlemen, please.
No. I'm not meaning your actual personality or your presence, I mean the venue itself. Like, how posh have you been in? Have you been in, like, from 1 to 10?
Well, I've been in the 10 venues, you know.
Wow.
You know,
okay.
I've been in the 10 venues.
So we're talking like the Mayfair.
Well, no, the venues which are really kind of popular for weddings are stuff like, you know, the Petit Chateau, Ellingham Hall, Doxford Barn, Newton Hall. You know, there's some fantastic wedding venues throughout Northumberland and into Durham as well. Just
have you had any
beautiful places.
Have you had any requests or inquiries from big names, or have they just?
Nah, not really.
No?
I've not had any kind of big names. I'm trying to think if I've had any big names at any of the
like David and Victoria Beckham's or.
No, none of that. The closest I got was I did a wedding at Short Flat Tower,
right,
which is out towards Belsey, and I was there the week before Declan Donnelly got married.
Well, hey!
So that was me claim to fame.
It's funny you mentioned that.
I missed it by a week.
Because I was thinking that kind of vibe would have been local. So I want you to tell about the first time you got nominated for this award that you've been awarded and how it made you feel.
Oh, right. I mean, if I look back, I mean, the first time I got nominated was for the English Wedding Awards in 2018, and to be honest, I just thought it was a bit of a. It just felt like it was a bit of a scam. It was felt like
a wind up.
It was a wind up. Somebody, you know,
somebody's playing games.
You've been selected to you've been nominated for this. And I thought, well, who's nominated? Well, I'm sorry, we can't give you that information. And then I thought, well, what's going to come next? They're going to want an entry fee. They're going to want us to
credit card details.
Credit card details. They're going to want us to pay to go to the awards ceremony, and it's a bit of a money making racket. So I must admit, the first one I didn't take particularly seriously.
So how did you find out it was real then?
Well, I think the first one was the trial, and I thought, yeah, this is real. I don't know how real the nomination was in the first place. But subsequently, I was nominated the following year, and I took it a whole lot more seriously.
As you would.
And as a consequence, I put a little bit more effort into putting the information together that I needed, and that was for the English Wedding Awards, and I won that one.
Way!
I won the English Wedding Awards 2019, and that was for the best wedding entertainer in the Northeast.
Just notoriously paying off all the young'uns that pointed and laughed at the old man with the baldy head. And
yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I recognise I'm not saying I'm old. I'll say I'm experienced, but I haven't lost any of the passion for DJing.
Exactly.
I haven't lost any of the passion.
It's what's inside.
Absolutely, for doing a good job, and I can keep up the youngness. I'm in tune with the current music. I'm in tune with the older music as well.
I've got to admit, he is like,
and I've lived through it. I kind of know what it is. Then I got I actually entered the Wedding Industry Awards 2020, which was like this time last year, and that was quite a rigorous and robust process that they went through, where you had to get all of the brides who'd booked you for a wedding in the previous 12 months.
Gordon Bennett, seriously, every bride in a year.
Yeah, and they had a scoring mechanism to kind of measure you against your return rate and the scores that the brides give you, and they give you all of the feedback as well. And by golly, wow, I won that one as well, and that was the best wedding DJ in Yorkshire and the Northeast. So that's right the way down to Sheffield.
So from here, guys, all the way down to Yorkshire, by gum, he's champion.
So
what is it? Is it a trophy, a plate, a medal?
The English Wedding Awards, I've basically got it's a certificate,
a piece of paper with your name on it.
Paper that I hang on my wall for the Wedding Industry Awards.
I hope it's framed, mind.
It is, yeah. It's
good.
On my wall. I got a little plaque, which is just a perspex plaque, so it's not anything particularly grand. But then this week, last Monday, Again, I was nominated for another wedding award. There seems to be quite a few around, which was the North of England Wedding Awards 2020.
Let me guess, you won.
And wow, I won.
Hat-trick hero.
I won that one as well, and that was for the best wedding DJ Yorkshire in the North East.
Now, correct us if I'm wrong, but I don't know if I dreamed this or if it was real, but wasn't there some point in your career where you were going up against like proper famous DJs and all that?
Not famous DJs, but just local DJs.
Because I remember you didn't get one, did you? There was one where you didn't get.
Yeah, that was a 2018 one.
Right,
when I got
the one before.
Yeah, I got a final. I was a finalist, but I didn't win it. But the last.
Ian said win it.
Well, the last three, that I've either entered myself or been entered for. Mm-hmm. I've won, and I don't necessarily believe that the hype, that I am the best wedding DJ in
but it's
the North East
it's there on paper though.
But what I think it is it's a kind of an independent verification of what I've done and what I've achieved, and and they're looking at feedback directly from the couples that I've worked with, and what better recommendation can you get than the people who I've worked with who said, actually, it was good, we really enjoyed it, and yet you made our wedding better for you being there.
And what better for future weddings when you're allowed, because I'm sure his diary's filling up fast.
I've got quite a full diary for next year.
See?
But it's whether I can
you're
do them or
actually
not.
getting a multi-award winning wedding DJ. You're not just getting Joe or Stephen from Doing the Road who's got a set of decks. You're getting a multi-award winning DJ. And I wish I kind of knew you in 2015, but if I ever have a thing where me and Clary renew our vows, sorry Eddie, but this time it's going to be Ian. Because there's a few mates rates going on there as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So how did you get into Coast Radio then?
Coast Radio, it was a funny little story. I mean, it was being managed and run by Vicky Oakley back then.
Yes, shout out to Vicky Oakley.
Yeah, and I knew Vicky from when I worked at Blythe Valley. I worked in the housing department, and she was.
She didn't want a house off you, did she?
Well, no, she used to work for internal audit. It was a team that we used to call the Gestapo.
The Gestapo.
Not a very complimentary term, but it was. They used to come in and not interrogate you, but they used to kind of ask you a lot of questions about the service that you did, and they poked through all your papers and all. Let me
guess. You got a 9.
9.
Sorry for the bad dad joke.
So, I knew Vicky through there, but I didn't really know that she was trying to kind of set up a radio station. But I used to kind of post some of the songs I used to like, and I used to put like a bit of DJ, like what I would class as DJ patter,
right?
With the songs, and coming at you, taking you back to 1979. Remember this one? It was that kind of stuff.
Tony Blackburn again.
And she actually contacted us and said that I fancy doing a radio show, and I said, well, I don't know anything about radio. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to
DJ.
I don't know how to be a DJ. Actually, I think you probably don't know this, and she didn't know it. I said I have been a DJ before, so I do know a little bit about music and stuff like that, which I think she picked up from your posts. And I was introduced to Coast Radio, asked to do a show, and I came up with a show title of Cheese on Coast.
Cheese on Coast. I remember that you did the breakfast show, didn't you, for a while?
It was
Cheese on Coast. Oh, look at that.
It was cheese on Coast. So
now I've got the breakfast show.
Whoa. Yeah, I did Cheese on Coast for.
Does that mean I'll be boss next?
Yeah, absolutely. Cheese on Coast for a few years when I was just when I was just a presenter at Coast, and we were online. It was just an online radio station.
It was, because you just didn't get the FM status until a couple of years after.
It was 2015.
Because I remember this, and your very first ever show done on Coast was Mr. Scurf, is that right?
Aye, Mr. Scurf was.
Shout out to Mr. Scurf.
One of the first DJs on Coast. And
it was as mad as a box of frogs, but I love you, Scurfy.
I came along a little bit later on and just had my own little Cheese on Coast show.
So how did you go from being the little Cheese on Coast presenter to becoming managing director?
A bit of a kind of a checkered kind of history to it. You know, I just did what I had to do. I mean, I was working for North Tyneside Council at the time, and you know, I had quite a high-powered job at North Tyneside. So in terms of being able to like dedicate any more time than spending a couple of hours on a radio show, I couldn't really do it. But then, you know, 2014, I had a bit more time on my hands with taking early retirement, and I started to do a little bit more work in the background.
And it just worked your way up the ladder.
For coasting, and I kind of things developed from there. We went through a few kind of rocky patches where we all had to really knuckle down to get the station back on its feet, because I think there was a point where, you know, it could have all gone badly wrong for the radio station, but we managed to pull together and get it back on course. And I think because I had more time than anybody else, I was not doing any more than anybody else, but I was involved in quite a lot of things, and certainly, you know, I'm quite good at not just talking, but I'm quite good at writing stuff down as well.
Yes, and obviously,
and you know, there's quite a lot
now,
of work in the background.
I'm not going to lie to you. When me and Clary first came here, I actually literally thought that Scurf was the owner of the place.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the aura or his personality, but he just came across like he was the main man.
Yeah.
And then, which is strange because you were the one that gave us our first show, Clary and Richie's Jukebox. But what was your instant? Now, be honest here. This is a podcast, not radio. What was your first impression when I walked through that door for the first time?
Well, to be honest,
Dick.
No, I never. I didn't think that. I mean, I kind of realised that you had the visual impairment, and I was trying to kind of think, you know, how we could.
How we're going to work around it.
How we could help. We have had previously, you know, a lad who was blind who wanted to do radio presenting, and you know, he didn't have anybody to accompany him and to kind of.
Thank God for Clary.
to manage the equipment.
Thanks, Clary. You saved me bacon.
So we were kind of like investigating whether or not there was any kind of software, anything that you could do to make it easy for somebody, you know, who had a visual impairment to be able to do a radio show. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your voice.
Now you just get a wife.
That's all you need on a radio.
My voice, and I'm definitely got one of them. It never stops.
You know, you need a voice and an appreciation for music, and quite clearly you've got that. So I think, you know, I was quite excited by the fact that you wanted to do it and that you were prepared to knuckle down and do whatever it takes to manage to get you on air. And the fact that, you know, Clary's been there to support you all the way. You know, for a radio station to be able to say, you know, we've helped and supported somebody with a visual impairment, somebody who cannot to present a radio show, you know, there's a lot of kudos to the radio station that we've facilitated that.
It sounds all a bit too cliche and whatever, Richie, but radio presenting seriously actually was one of my childhood dreams, because when I was a teenager, you see, me and my friend, we used to pretend we were radio presenters.
Yeah.
Our station was called New Monkey FM. And we used to be like,
I can imagine what you play. I can imagine what you play.
Up next, we've got interviews with this blah blah blah. We used to just pretend, and ironically enough, so did Clary.
Yeah.
But before I came here, I actually was working for another station, but it wasn't like a fully licensed one.
Yeah.
It was with a guy called John Peacock.
Yeah.
And it was, I believe we called it Live Vibes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was working with a guy called Glenn. And
we had John Peacock here for a short while.
We were doing loads of like just stupid random stuff, like playing underground hip hop and just having a giggle.
Yeah.
And it didn't last long because the way that I had to get there and back. I mean, I will give it to him. He brought me home a few times, and so did Glenn. But I just didn't feel it in here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but I love the vibe of being on radio. And then, boom, all of a sudden, guess what? I lived in Scotswood. I saw this funny man with a goatee and a bucket hat and a pair of glasses singing along. Marky Mark.
Was it?
Yes, seriously. Yeah. We found Coast Radio on the internet because of Marky Mark.
Did you?
And then
And you thought if that numpty can do a radio show,
shout out to Marky Mark, I love you.
If that numpty can do a radio show, so can I.
So obviously, I don't know
Only
how.
kidding, only kidding.
He's only kidding. We love you really, Marky. Yup, yes, mup new. Right, so obviously, I don't know when, but you had put out an advert on the internet saying something about, we're looking for presenters, blah, 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 email. And that's exactly what Clary did. And then I came in a week later, and there you go. That's it. The rest is history.
Absolutely.
But I want you, please, to tell people, because they seem to get this in a bit of a muck and fuddle, and they get it twisted. There is a difference between a radio presenter and a DJ.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
What would you say the difference is?
Well, I think the main difference is as a radio presenter, you're trying to communicate with listeners who you can't see.
Yes.
The talking's quite an important part of that, to give information, to take requests, to give people shout-outs.
You've got to have the gift of the gab, really.
You've got to be able to kind of talk, and you've got to be able to talk in such a way that you're connecting with people who, so you've got to feel, the people that are listening, I think, have got to feel like you're actually talking to them.
Yes.
And that's a kind of a skill in itself, and I'm not sure that I've necessarily got that skill.
I would say you have. I mean, you can hear that you're more of a DJ, but you have got the radio presenting skill. I would definitely say you have, because if I heard your show and I didn't like it, I would just naff off.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy listening to your show, and I'm not just saying that because you're my boss or because you're here, because people say that, you're just saying that because you're your boss. No. I genuinely like Mind Your Own Business. Yeah. It's a good show.
I mean, I try to do the kind of talking aspect of it rather than the music aspect, although obviously of late, because of the situation with getting guests in the studio.
If you actually listen to your show, you can tell that you're a DJ, because it's like that slight tweak, like you listen to Ian talk now, but like, say for example on a Monday morning, you'd be like, yes, and that was Diana Ross, right there back in 19... And then back down, so you can tell you've got that DJ tweak.
Yeah, well, I haven't had that much training to be a radio DJ, but the training I have had, which was from a guy called Mark Thorburn, who used to be on Metro Radio one time.
Ooh, we don't like Metro here at the Blind Man's Podcast.
One of the things he said was that you've got to kind of put light and shade in your voice, so your voice goes up and it goes down, and it goes fast and it goes slow, to make your voice interesting and not monotone.
Not just good afternoon, you're listening to Coast Radio.
I feel like that you're reading something like food and drink spillages could damage the equipment and putting the station.
You would say like food and drink spillages may damage the equipment. So don't do it. Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes it more interesting to the ear.
Now, as a DJ, when you're at a party, the important thing to do is to keep the vibe. Build the atmosphere, build the vibe, and keep the dance floor moving is the important thing. So it's much more about mixing the music, blending the music, and then moving people gradually from one place to another. And the thing that I like to be able to do, and I don't always get it right, is to feel like I'm absolutely in control of the dance floor.
Yes.
So that I know when I've got a next song on and that song takes somebody up there, that when I go up there you go, people go up there with us.
So you one of these DJs at an event that would be like, come on everybody, get to the dance floor, come on, like that, or do you just let them do it themselves?
No, well I use kind of the wide range of skills that I've got in terms of getting people on the dance floor. Sometimes it's the music I play music which people cannot stop tapping their feet to.
Exactly.
So the music,
it's a floor filler, basically.
The music pulls people, onto the dance floor. But
the music has memories for everything as well.
Yeah, sometimes I find that if that on its own doesn't work, then I'll use my voice.
Right.
I'll use my voice to persuade people to get on. I'll trick people onto the dance floor sometimes.
Like, for example, come on, this one, you can't resist.
I mean, I've used things like the photographer. So at a wedding, you've got the photographers there. Well, I use this. You've got the first dance, and I try to get everybody on the dance floor at the back end of the first dance, and then build from there whilst they've got people on the dance floor. But sometimes people aren't necessarily ready at that time, and they'll, after the first dance, they'll go back to their seats.
I think a lot of it might be anxiety and nerves and not enough alcohol.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that, and sometimes it's just about getting the people at the wedding to kind of gel together as a group, so that they feel relaxed and comfortable in each other's company, and that they feel that they can go stupid, which is what you want them to do.
Without mentioning any names, obviously, or any venues, or giving anything away, have you ever done any weddings where you felt really uncomfortable and you thought, oh, I can't have this?
I've had weddings that haven't gone like according to plan. I've had
like a couple of the family members having a little barmy in the corner. Or...
Yeah. I mean, I've had those where there's been issues between
family members.
Right. I've had it where the father of the groom haven't liked the bride, and they've ended up outside. The groom and the father having fisticuffs.
Strong words outside. Ding ding ding.
You've got to be like alert to recognise that some weddings are a little bit like that.
So what does the wedding DJ do in that situation? Do you play a song to distract the guest, or do you think, right, this is time to pack up and go because I'm not involved in this? Carry on.
No, I think it's trying to kind of distract the situation and trying to and you can't always do it. It's sometimes such a
touchy subject.
Focus. The shift of the wedding focuses, but it's just your job to try and keep the wedding on track, to try and keep people on the dance floor, try and not to let the atmosphere deteriorate as a result of something off the scene that's out of your control.
Exactly. So that's it, and obviously Ian's very experienced. He knows what he's doing. He's got his multi-awards. Couple of daft questions, and then I think that's about it.
Okay.
Just obviously, like, if you could DJ anywhere in the world, it doesn't have to be a wedding. It can just literally be your setting up in front of you. Where would you want to do it?
I think I'd love to do it on a beach in Ibiza.
Aye.
Yeah.
Wow.
With all the beautiful people.
See, I wasn't expecting that from you. I was thinking more of a festival vibe, like a Glastonbury or something.
No, I don't think so. I think I would I would like to be somewhere warm, playing some really kind of
stupid daft beach music.
Just chilled kind of like beach music, but enough of a vibe that people are kind of moving.
What he wants to be on a nice beach playing crap beach music, cold cocktail on the left, and his wife in a bra on the right.
Something like that.
Is that about right?
Yeah, just the beautiful people there, just
good vibe.
Good vibe, and just people.
Best DJ of all time.
Having a good time. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm into, the kind of the big festival kind of DJs with their hands in the air. And,
come on, everybody!
I mean, I kind of one of the things I look back on now, and my son Phil was actually there. Was at the Milton Keynes Bowl.
Yes, I seen that.
Where the Swedish House Mafia did the last gig, and they did. Don't You Worry, Child. And
yes.
There's a video of it.
Song.
There's a video of it on YouTube, and that's just got a kind of an amazing vibe to it. It's just great atmosphere, great music, lasers, lights, just tremendous. 100,000 people there.
Sounds amazing.
Just absolutely amazing. So shout out to the Swedish House Mafia, who are no longer.
Shout out and another shout out as well, and rest in peace to Avicii. What a DJ!
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely taken too young, just at a time when his career was really kind of
starting to sprout out. It was,
but respect to all, the top DJs, some of the older guys that have been doing it for a long time,
exactly.
and that are still out there, wowing the crowds.
I give it to them, I do, because it's a hard job, especially now. So the greatest radio presenter of all time for you?
Well, he's cheesy as hell. Fluff Freeman, he was He was Alan Freeman. Just had a great DJ voice, and somebody else, you know, and not everybody's cup of tea, but I do like the sound of Tony Blackburn.
Yes, well, I mean, back in the day, he did have.
Hey, he
was the dog's bollocks back in the day.
You know, he was a main man. You know, you look at Tony Blackburn now. I don't know what he is, 78 or something like that. But when he talks, it's just that voice on the radio. You know, you just kind of make that instant connection. He's just got a radio voice.
I tell you, this will shock you and many of me followers, but do you know who one of my favourites was?
Who's that?
Terry Wogan.
Yeah, Terry Wogan. I mean,
what a radio voice.
You know, a great presenter, you know.
What a radio voice. And obviously shout out to Alan Robson, the inspiration for me, because he's done many things for me. If it wasn't, let's just put it this way, Ian, if it wasn't for Night Owls, there'd be no Clary or Richie.
Yeah. But I mean, like Alan Robson, the Flashing Blade, you know.
The man, the myth and the legend.
You know,
who I'm hoping to get on here.
Yeah, well,
I'm hoping to do a podcast.
A long-term, local, you know, radio presenter. And, you know, his voice has probably changed a little bit. He's probably not as Geordie as he was.
Just a bit.
But he's still got the Geordie twang. And
believe it or not, when he first started, he wasn't allowed to talk Geordie. And people were ringing up complaining, saying, "This is not Alan. This is not the Alan we know from Benwell." And
yeah, well, if you remember, you know, back in the day, there was a particular sound. You know, it had to be the kind of the BBC radio voice.
Well, I'll give you an example of what he sounded like on when he first started. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call me, it's Tyneside 488 3188 on Night Owls. And then he went. That was like people saying, "That's not you." So he went, "Hello, it's the Flashing Blade." That's more like it.
Yeah.
So, music genres, what would you consider the best genre ever?
The best genre. See,
You're like me, if anything, you like all genres if it's good.
I'm like eclectic. You know, if the music's good, it's good.
Exactly, that's me.
You know, regardless of what it is, you know, I like all sorts of music. I guess I've got to like all sorts of music.
Exactly, as radio presenters and DJs.
I've got to like it, and I do like it. There's some that I'm not so fussed on. I mean,
rave.
Well, no, I don't like I don't like the kind of the Makina end of things. You know, I'm not into that kind of music. No
offence, but I just think it's finished now from when it was.
You know, when the music's kind of cranked up to 170 beats a minute. You know, no, but I do like, you know, clublandy kind of stuff.
Yes.
140 beats a minute.
Trance and stuff.
Yeah, but then I like R&B. I like you know, old school disco music. I really like the disco music of the late 70s.
And he just absolutely can't get enough of Blind Man B. He's a top fan.
Blind Man B, you know.
Revelations remix.
The Revelations remix.
I've seen you making shapes on that dance floor, Sean and Karen's wedding.
Absolutely, you know, I can still knock them out, you know. Knock them out.
I think that's probably about it, like, because me and Ian got to sit here till Renegade Rock Show starts. Just plug what you do, man, and
right. Give us a like if you haven't already done so. Icon Entertainment, specialist wedding and events DJ. If you've got a wedding coming up, if you've got an event that you want a DJ for, somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who can do a bit of pat on the mic, and somebody who plays great music, I'm your man.
And do it fast, because his diary's filling up quicker than a swimming pool.
My diary
in a hot
is
country.
pretty full for next year, I've got to say.
So, any shout outs?
Any shout outs? I'm not sure who I want to shout out. But just a big shout out and respect to all the DJs out there in the Northeast trying to do what they can, and hopefully we'll all get back to work as soon as we can. So
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That is a Blind Man's podcast. I'm Blind Man, joined by a dear friend of mine and my gaffer and the multi-award winning wedding DJ of the north of England, soon to be the whole country, I would assume. It's been a pleasure. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. I've got more podcasts coming. And big shout out to Car Ching, car-ching.co.uk. Go on to there, have a look, tune into Ian's website, and that's about it. I'm going to let Ian press the button because I'm blind as a bat, and I'll probably end up knacking something. Thank you very much for joining us today. God bless. Peace. Until again.
Cheers for that.